McDonald's present.
All right, if you would all rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, our first order of business tonight is our public comment on agenda items. If anyone would like to comment on any of the agenda items, now is your time to speak. There will be a second opportunity to speak to the board on any and all topics towards the end of our agenda. Any takers? All right, we will move on then to our consent agenda, which includes the following items. Approval of the village board regular meeting minutes of June 8th, 2023. Bills presented for payment in the amount of $796,491.83. The finance monthly report and the public safety monthly reports from May of 2023. Is there anything that the board would have us consider separately? Hearing none, do we have a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion by trustee Gus, second by trustee Miller. Discussion? All right, roll call, please.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
I heard an aye. Motion carries. All right, moving into the mayor's report. I have an item which is recognition of Mike Belfi for 20 years of service with the Village of Beach Park. Mike, I got to embarrass you. Come on up. 20 years. Easy on yeah, you got to stand in the spotlight so everybody can see. We got you. It's don't be surprised. There, it works. Yeah. When you want to know what time it is, just slug it. And 20 years. Let's see what we have here. It says certificate of recognition presented to Mike Belfi of with sincere gratitude and appreciation for 20 years of service to the Village Beach Park, presented this 13th day of July 2023. Thank you. Thank you. Mike is our water superintendent. He holds our water operator's license and is a general all-around good guy. So, as far as I know. All right.
The only
Thank
one
you,
that was
sir.
required.
Thank you. Appreciate your service.
Congratulations, Mike, and thank you.
Congratulations.
Mike.
Another
You can go
20.
Another 5 or another 10?
Retirement in 3, 2, 1. Oh boy. All right. I have something else, but I'll hold it till a little bit later in the agenda. Don't be sad.
Like surprises.
We shall move then to trustee reports. First up, we have Finance Committee. Trustee Jensen.
Thank you, Mayor. I have one agenda item, and before we do that, I want to make sure everyone knows that our next meeting is going to be July 25, 6 p.m., at which time we'll dissect that $700,000 and some dollars worth of bills we just paid. My official act tonight is to offer a motion to authorize staff to submit a letter to the city of Waukegan requesting the first 5-year extension to the current water sales agreement, which was a 15-year agreement signed back in 2009. And I'm pleased to offer this. It's been a good deal for the city, or the village, to buy water from the city of Waukegan. It's smart to continue to do that. At the present time, we don't have a better deal available to us. And it's the relationship, from what I gathered from staff, I'm not involved on a day-to-day basis, but has been a good one.
Yeah.
And that said, I offer that motion.
All right, we have a motion
Second.
and a second by trustee Gust. Any discussion? I would join your observation. It has been a reliable and predictable water source. Unlike some that have been in the news lately, not naming any names, but this one has proved to be
And speaking from the finance perspective, it's a well-structured agreement. There's no opportunity to gouge built into it.
Yep.
There are protections for the village in there, so it's a good deal.
Ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells. Trustee Gus.
Aye.
All right, motion carries.
That concludes my report.
Thank you, sir. Next up, we have Parks and Recreation Committee, Trustee Gust.
Thank you, Your Honor. 2 items. First item is on July 29th. Got a movie in Founders Park, and it's going to be Super Mario Brothers movie. Hopefully, we'll get a few laughs out of that one. The next thing is our August Fest. We got 3 food vendors. We got everything lined up except for the petting zoo, so I'm working on that. Other than that, it should fly, and Mark promises me good weather. It's going to be a beautiful day again.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. And that was,
That ends my report.
that, do we have the date in August? That was August 20 something? Do we?
12, right? 12.
12th. Okay.
August 12th.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, sir. Next up, we've got Planning, Building, and Zoning Committee, Trustee Wells.
Thank you. I have no report.
All right. Public Relations Intergovernmental Committee, Trustee Miller.
Thank you, Mayor. 2 items for the board's consideration tonight. And the first one is a resolution, and this has to do with Lake County All Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan. The Intergovernmental Committee met on June 29th, and we discussed this resolution and this proposal. It was unanimously approved to move forward to the board. A little background on your sheet in your packet explains that this Lake County All Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan, it's a little bit of a mouthful, but it provides a countywide effort planning for and responding to natural hazards such as severe weather and flooding. Now, this is something that really we would have no reason not to do, in my opinion. Adopting the plan is required for us to be eligible for some non-emergency disaster funding through FEMA. This plan also could include some assistance for grants that would help us with planning and flood-prone property purchase. There are 4 projects in Beach Park that were identified to fall under this category, and they include the Manor Avenue culvert, the Major Avenue culvert improvement, the York House North Avenue stormwater sewer improvements, and an update to our 2018 building codes. This is within our 2023-24 village priorities of coordinating with other governmental agencies. The impact to our budget is none. Therefore, I would make a motion to approve Resolution 2023 R16, adopting the 2022 Lake County All Natural Hazards Mitigation Plan.
I will second it.
A motion by Trustee Miller, second by Trustee Gust. They should come up with some kind of an acronym.
Yeah, please, right?
Yeah.
Terrible mouthful.
All right. We have a motion. Do we have any discussion? All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Okay, and the second item is an additional resolution. This has to do with an intergovernmental agreement between Lake County and the village for intersection improvements at Wadsworth Road and Lewis Avenue, including non-motorized improvements. This also was discussed at our June IGA committee meeting and was unanimously approved for forwarding to the board tonight. A little background, this intersection improvement was first identified quite a while ago, 2017. So we're talking about 6 years. And Lake County completed finally their phase 2 design in 2022. And additionally, and this is really important, the county was able to secure federal funding for this project, which I believe significantly lowered our portion of what we were expected to pony up. Help me remember.
I recall it was near $700,000 that we were going to be paying for the path
Yeah,
Right.
it was,
From Lewis
it was
to the bike-
a substantial
to the
chunk,
bridge
yeah.
to connect.
And what we ended up being requested by the county to put up was 25,000. So serious decrease and,
And we
you know.
asked Don at the finance committee, and that's less.
Yeah.
Determined that is much less.
that is much less.
Oh, boy.
And this lowers contributions for the village's part of construction of a sidewalk and a multi-use path that will connect to the Robert McClory path, as well as some water hydrant locations. And as an extra safety, this has been reviewed by our village attorney, so thank you to the attorney for that. This falls in line with our 2023-24 village priority of continuing to work with other governmental agencies. Impact to the budget, $25,194.23. So I would make a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing execution of an intergovernmental agreement between County of Lake and the Village of Beach Park for intersection improvements at Wadsworth Road and Lewis Avenue, including non-motorized improvements.
I will second it.
A motion by trustee Miller, second by trustee Gust. Discussion?
Well, it's a bargain.
Yeah, for
Is this a firm price or is this subject to bidding, do you know?
No, it's not subject to the bidding. It's subject to additional costs that may come up.
So as it
About,
stands,
so-
that's semi-firm price.
That's correct.
Mhm.
Yeah, semi-firm. It's not 100% firm.
I can think of other adjectives, but I'll not.
but
Okay.
understood.
It's as
Thank
good
you.
as it can get right now.
Yep.
Thank you.
All right. Any other discussion? All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Motion carries.
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Moving on, public safety, trustee Siddick.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I don't have anything in specific, but I just wanted to reach out, reading our administrators' Friday reports that we get, and I was just wondering, I saw the one on the Tractor Supply, and I know everyone in the community is real excited about this. But I also wanted to mention that, do you have anything additional on the Waukegan City Council that we're tabling the Park District?
The only,
Facility
the golf facility,
due to the cost?
yeah, that's what we had discussed a couple weeks ago, and the executive director of the Park District just reached out to me yesterday and told me that that's essentially been tabled indefinitely by the Park District. So the Park District had informed Waukegan that they were going to look at it some more to assess the costs, and then so they met and they decided not to do it. And we were just told yesterday that it's tabled indefinitely. So.
Thank you. And I thought this was interesting, that the population growth in Beach Park, 4.48%. So the village is no longer going to be eligible.
Yeah, the MFT high growth, yeah, but it's 5% is required in the population increase. So, based on the last census, we didn't achieve a 5% additional growth. So we're no longer, we got the last payment of 21,000, Peggy?
27.
27? Okay, I put it on there, yeah.
27,500.
27,000, that'll no longer be provided to the village for the MFT high growth allotment.
And just lastly, I was just glad to read that staff participated in the emergency management training session this past week. So
Yeah, it was offered by IEMA, so it was pretty educational. Declarations, proclamations, and a lot of good information on that. So
yeah, but I'm sure glad we all dodged those storms last night.
Mhm.
So that's all I had. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Thank you. Moving on, Public Works Committee, trustee Otterson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. It's hard to believe there's nothing on the agenda because there is an awful lot going on.
Yeah.
Public Works related right now, but we've been given pay requests, but they will be at the next meeting, I believe. So, I don't know if Pat has any comments. I know they're well underway on the Manor Avenue project. They're well underway on the Wadsworth Road water main project. And I understand there were some signatures to be had today authorizing the contract for the street, the MFT street project. So that's going to be kicking off probably in a few weeks.
Yeah.
I would think, right, in early August. Sweet, so there's a lot going on. I know you guys have been doing a lot of running. So, yeah, I don't have an official report, but there is a lot going on, so.
I just want to say thanks, Public Works, for taking care of Sheridan Road for us, even though that's not ours officially to take care of the right-of-way. It's most appreciated. I don't know what IDOT is doing about everybody else's rights-of-way, but they haven't made it up here for a while. But thank you.
They mow once a year, whether it needs it or
Yeah.
Yep.
It's too bad.
Okay. Very good. There's nothing to report from the TIF committee as we have not met. So we'll move on to staff reports. Been requested to table item A, authorization to continue mosquito abatement contract, as staff has decided to or asked that they would have a little bit more time to work with the contractor and discuss some possible options, et cetera. So if we could have a motion to table item A, that would be appreciated. We have a motion by Addison, second by Siddick. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Consider that item tabled. And the next item, we have an ordinance amending the village code by modifying the number of liquor licenses. And that is basically taking the Class M to 0. Did you have anything you wanted to add there? It's pretty straightforward. So we would be looking for, that was the Pips Meadery license. They're no longer cited there, so no need to continue that license. And it is our policy, as the license is abandoned, to reduce the count and not have one entitled. So do we have a motion to approve this ordinance?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Gus, second by Miller. Discussion.
We're hardly a village anymore without a meadery.
I know.
I don't
A
know.
who?
Yeah,
I never
exactly.
knew how well that business did there.
Well, I think they were doing fine. It was just that the nature of their business was such that it was not really a retail operation at all. They had some functions, but it sounds like a pretty tightly knit group of manufacturers and consumers. I had no idea what mead was until they came along, made a presentation.
I heard that they moved into a bigger location.
Oh.
They
okay.
needed more space, so that's.
Oh.
Which wonderful problem to have. Just wish we had a place to offer them. All right. Any other discussion on that reduction? All right. Roll call, please.
Trustee Wells.
Aye.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Aye.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Motion carries. We have no old business to discuss tonight, but we do have one item of new business, which is the approval of HMG invoices, in engineering bills totaling $17,451.70. Do we have a motion to approve that payment?
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Gus, second by Miller. You guys, you make it easy for me. My neck only turns one way.
Oh, boy.
Any discussion on paying the bills? Okay, roll call, please.
Trustee Gus.
Aye.
Trustee Jensen.
Aye.
Trustee Miller.
Aye.
Trustee Addison.
Abstain.
Trustee Siddick.
Aye.
Trustee Wells.
All right, motion carries. We did have one other item of new business which came to my attention courtesy of a little bird mentioning something seen on I believe it was the book face is what was mentioned. Apparently we have a birthday boy in our midst. Some guy that's sitting to my right that's shaking his head.
Hearing aids. Hearing aids back.
I say, Don,
Somebody should give
happy
him one.
birthday, Don.
I make it a practice of having at least one a year.
Well, and every one that happens is a good thing.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I think that, as is tradition, when it's possible to embarrass someone, I'll do my best. So I would hope that you wouldn't leave me hanging, but I'm going to say happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Donald. Happy birthday to you. Woo-hoo.
I hope we have that recorded.
Yeah.
That's a gem.
It'll be your new
Oh.
ringtone on.
Now I know why people leave Facebook.
But it wasn't you. It was somebody.
I
that you-
know.
Yeah,
Just the look of disgust on your face made it all worth it.
it was.
Yeah, right.
Well, this wasn't the Vienna Boys Choir, I'll tell you that.
All right. Well, now we're to the citizens wishing to address the board on any and all topics. All we would ask is that you would come to the podium, be recognized, give us your name, and state your case. You're up.
My name is Andrew Hutchison. I live at 12738 West Beach Road. I'm just here to voice my concern about the traffic, the excessive speed down the road to the sports complex. We've been at Beach Park for a little over a year now, and I brought my son here. He's 11 because I wanted him to be in the school district. And we like Beach Park and feel safe, but I can't let him play in the front yard,
Mhm.
driveway, or anywhere near the street. And it's so bad. Some days it's from sun up to sundown. I mean, and it's not just a occasional nuisance or annoyance, but it's a daily danger we have to be aware of constantly.
Yep.
So that's my main concern at the moment.
All right. Well, thank you for coming and sharing that with us. Your voice is heard. As you heard, and I'm sure you're well aware with the cessation of their plans for the golf facility, we're back to discussing something that they don't want to talk about that much. So we'll continue to be in your corner, and we have ongoing discussions with leadership over at the Park District. So we'll see if we can come to some conclusion soon.
Thanks for your time.
You
Thank
bet.
you.
Yeah, it seems that they wanted to talk to us about the expansion because they had to.
Yeah, we were in a good place for at least for the discussion. Yeah.
But it would be nice to get something rectified with the traffic up and down that road.
Sure.
I mean, that, I just can't even imagine.
There's, as I say, we've been discussing at the staff level between their leadership and our leadership about some possible options that would mitigate some of the traffic in the way they handle it, but there's really no attempt at traffic control once they hit the public street. So that's the bigger issue. All of our ideas, what they could do internally don't really change the fact that amount of traffic is passing by all these houses. So,
Yeah, Mayor,
Yeah, sure.
pardon me, one sec.
Yeah.
From what I understand from previous discussions here, part of the traffic issue is folks trying to turn north out of onto Green Bay Road there. And I'm wondering if we could consider right turn only, make them all go south and expedite the exiting there.
Yep.
I mean, we have little control over what they do there, but that is our road, and we could impose that.
Yep. And I don't think that looking ahead at the state plans for expanding Green Bay Road, that there's been any consideration given to this traffic. I think they look at a sleepy 2-lane road intersecting with Green Bay Road and think no big deal, just like any other road. Although they will have very few full access intersections on Green Bay Road. They're trying to force exactly what
I
you're
know.
talking about. But when you take this volume of cars into consideration, that ought to be a signalized intersection with secondary controls for the traffic that they're dealing with. So,
I'd
but-
be in favor of a one-way
yeah.
and then let them figure out how they're gonna put it on their property for exit.
Please go ahead.
Josh Hecker with an E and F with a U. I live at 38580 North Bayonne in Wadsworth. Mr. Jensen, I would disagree with the right turn only. I use Beach Road every day to go to work, and I have to head north to Wisconsin. That would
Oh, I know, I understand it'd be an inconvenience, yeah. But so's the other traffic, so we're just trying to find it.
Yeah, and I get
Mhm.
And it's interesting, Mr. Mayor, that you took the words out of my mouth about the lack of traffic control
Mhm.
outside of the park. We've attended multiple meetings over the course of the last 8 or 9 months with the park district administration, and they always claim that they're good neighbors. Just the other day, I had a vehicle that it was parked in the middle of the southbound lane on Bayonne, and it had its flashes on, its hazard lights, but it was in traffic, and
Mhm.
it was stopped, and it wasn't moving. It was right at the intersection of Bayonne. So I got in my truck and needed to head south and then east on Beach, and I had to go into the oncoming lane of travel to then round the corner to go east. Meanwhile, I'm laying on my horn trying to get the person to move, and staff at the park are 50 to 70 feet away from me. They did nothing.
Right.
I called the county sheriff's department. They had just rolled through an hour prior. And this particular day, there was so much traffic that it was literally backed up to Green Bay Road, and the overflow parking at the park was completely full. Nobody had anywhere to park, and the park could care less.
Right.
They could care less.
How are the people from the overflow parking transitioning back to the fields? Are they walking from that parking?
Yes, they're walking.
Okay. On their internal path that they've got?
There is
Yeah.
a cross-country trail that is through there.
Yeah.
And they are walking that path, the same path that we would argue that could be made into a road.
Yes.
And they could access their own property. And interestingly enough, all the arguments that we had with Waukegan saying that they could no longer utilize the existing entrance and exit from the old golf course, suddenly when we were arguing with them about this golf range, IDOT all of a sudden said, yeah, you can continue to use that, or you can use that entrance as an point of egress for your new golf
Sure.
complex. So
Sure.
they have an entrance and an exit that they could utilize. They're just choosing not to.
Right.
So I know our voices aren't unheard with you guys.
Yep.
I truly appreciate it. I'm not gonna beat a dead horse. I've
Yeah.
been in front of you multiple times with the problems that we have.
Yep.
I'm hoping that we can rectify this by taking the road back to Beach Park and not allowing access to that sports complex anymore. It's overwhelming.
Right. Thank you, Josh.
Good afternoon. My name is Victor Romero, and I live at 12676 West Beach Road. And I'm here to raise my voice once again, about the same issue. I've been living at Beach Road for, a little over 10 years. And, we have this issue, and I have been here, multiple times raising my concern. And as my new neighbor here, I also have little kids that I'm not allowed, in the front yard. They're friends, they play together, and they have to play in the back for the same reason. And the sheriff department is not here today, but I would like to thank the sheriff's department, for their help, recently because of the traffic and the speeding. My main concern is also the speeding. They have set up a speed sign recently on Beach Road, but that does very little. I mean, people have completely disregard for that device, and they continue to speed through the street. And it is very, very concerning.
We will get our hands on that data from them as well. We get data on our sign, and we'll continue to build this case on traffic, and speed is obviously a major concern. One thing not to be able to get out of your driveway at all, something else to have cars flying down the street when you've got kids. So both and we'll get that information. There's different parameters that they can set on these signs as far as what triggers an overspeed and what triggers, so they're counting cars, they're counting the number of cars that are exceeding a certain miles per hour, and then we're getting average speeds and things like that. So it all plays. And like you say, the sign does little to change behavior. They're not getting a ticket because they did something wrong, but the statistics do help us to make our case as well. So, yeah.
I'm glad you mentioned it because I was not aware that the device was, collecting data.
Yes.
If that's the case, and that would help a lot. So,
Yep.
thank you. Thanks for it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
to Factor in emergency services while all these statistics come through.
Yeah.
How could emergency services?
Exactly. That's
access
one of the
these
major
areas?
points.
So-
If somebody doing something stupid causes an accident or hurts somebody, never mind, it's an athletic facility. I mean,
Right.
people get hurt at athletic facilities all the
All the
time. How do you
time.
get the ambulance, the fire truck, the whatever
Mhm.
down a street that's solid traffic?
They can.
Yeah.
Firsthand witness of it. The only way for them to do it is to drive all the traffic off the road into our property.
Yep.
That's what happens.
That helps a lot too. So,
Or they'd probably come in right off of Green Bay Road. In the old entrance where the people are walking.
They-
Can't get through there.
Oh.
They can go to the parking lot.
yeah, they have to, yep.
It's even
Now,
worse.
Mayor, the speed comment raises an interesting thought. Our friends in Chicago, of course, have speed cameras that ticket people automatically. Is that something that'll be available here as a non-home rule community, Mr. Attorney?
I'd have to take a look at that. I don't think so. What you have are red light camera options. As far as speed go, I've not seen that in non-home rule, but I'll research it for you.
Chicago and the south side of Chicago.
Yeah, but they're home rule. They're home rule. We're non-home rule.
A home rule
That's
community
different.
has a certain minimum population requirement, or we had a referendum a few years back to have the village consider home rule status. And that gives us other tools to work with, but it also gives options for taxation, which of course we don't lean into, but future boards might. So there's always that question of home rule status. Some of these things, Chicago, they actually write laws for Chicago that exclude every other community in the state. So, yeah. All right. Thank you.
I'll take a look, but I
Thank you.
doubt it. I don't
The
think it's
interesting thing
available.
about those signs, even when they're off and the speed isn't being displayed, they're still recording data.
Yeah.
And it's quite often the data is quite different. We'll put one somewhere for 2 weeks, and 1 week with the sign on and 1 week with the sign off. And people go a lot faster when the sign is off. So it does have a small effect, but it's interesting that people think, oh, that thing's sitting there, but it's not on, so they speed up.
It is, and that, we noticed that the first couple of days when it was first set in place, people were slowing down. But now that they're getting used to that device being
Amen.
there all the time, they just
Yep.
fly right by.
Well, I went there the other night and Alan was out in the street running as fast as he could to see what it said on the sign. I don't know how high he got.
What, usually 4?
Yeah.
That's a new personal thing.
Thank you.
Hello, everyone, again. Alan Hutchison, 12762 West Beach. Same thing as Josh said, I don't want to go through and rehash things that we've already done, so, but I do have some new stuff I want to talk about tonight. One of them is, there was mention made about the day that you had come over there and there was traffic all the way from one end of the road to the other. I haven't been to a village meeting since the last April meeting because everyone has either been canceled or overlaid with a Waukegan meeting, so it's been
Right.
2 months since I've been here. But in that time, I've run 9 people off that were either parked in my grass, in my driveway, or in the driveway of the new renovated house to the west of me. 9 cars, right? Those are people that just decided to park there because they wanted to drop their kids off or do whatever, right? So do with that as you will. Back to trustee Jensen about the right-hand turn, I agree with Josh. I think that that's gonna be a giant inconvenience for the residents, and it's not gonna do anything to deter the traffic from being on that road. At the end of the day, our solution is a permanent removal of all the traffic from the sports park from the road. It fixes a couple of things. It fixes the speed issue, it fixes the capacity issue, it fixes the trash issue, and it starts to make a difference in things like when the park operations run, because we don't have to listen to crosswalks, guys racing out there at 11 o'clock. We
Right.
don't have to listen to people who've been down there tailgating with open alcohol for the last 4 hours, leave out of there at midnight.
Mhm.
It just makes a huge difference when all that riffraff is not on our street. So,
Yep.
again, I just want to push for permanent removal of the traffic and not a Band-Aid that is basically something that'll allow.
When you say permanent removal, what, be a little more specific?
I want all the inbound and outbound Waukegan Sports Park traffic to enter off of Green Bay Road. I want no entrances for the
Okay.
park off of Beach Road, and I want no liability or no exposure to my kids, my neighborhood, and my property. Because I can tell you right now that I've done everything I possibly can to go after it diplomatically.
So you're suggesting we block access to Green
Well,
Bay
no, that
Road?
we would force, encourage, cajole, whatever, them into creating a path through the inside of the property for all that traffic
From
as
their
opposed,
overflow line.
yeah, directly to Green Bay.
They might still come down your road.
I,
Because once they realize they can't get in, they wouldn't. And I would ask for their closure of the entrance there too.
That's what I was
And
wondering.
for what it's worth, that path is mostly there. It's about 80% in already. The overflow path that they have, and they put that path in back in about 2013, they took big DA dozers in there and cored that thing. They run tour buses up and down it right now. It's the same width right of way that they run. It's only a 20-foot right of way inside the park where they run traffic in and out. That is absolutely what they have. The only thing that would have to be done is to go from the turnaround cul-de-sac on the inside, cross that creek, and link up with their existing parking lot structure on the inside of the park.
Yep.
So I did all the homework. I had a bridge contractor come out, and I
Wow.
had all the estimates done. And from my estimates, there was I talked about this a little bit before, but there's a similar bridge that got put in at the Senior Citizen Center that's behind it was the old Kmart down there. And the problem with that bridge is that it was considered a U.S. waterway. Once that happens, the Army Corps of Engineers has to be involved. But what you can do now is just like a house that would require a truss, you can get a signed off engineered truss from something like Menards. They sell signed off engineered bridges that the Army Corps of Engineers says, yeah, this is great, and it works for everything up to this amount. So I had them rough quote a bridge that's the same size as the one that was down there, which is significantly larger than the one that they would need for the park. Prefab, completely done, delivered to site, and ready to go. It was about $450,000. Small beans in terms of what they're bringing in, multiple tournaments with millions of people per weekend, right? And other than that, they need less than a couple hundred feet of pavement. That's what we're fighting. That's what we're asking for.
Yep.
And we've gone at them, we've gone at the park district, and we've asked, we've begged, we've pleaded, we've shown reason, we've negotiated, we've tried everything we could, but at the end of the day, and I don't use this word lightly, but the Waukegan Park District are a bunch of liars. They will promise us one thing, and then they will do something completely different. They promised us that they would take the inbound traffic and move the ticket taking, where they take all the money inbound to the park. They did it one day. It was inconvenient to them. They put it back. They promised us that they would be down the road every Monday religiously to pick up trash. They don't. They lie. Now, I don't know if that's something that the top brass thinks is happening, and there's a breakdown before it gets to the person that's actually picking up the trash. But whatever it is, it shows the type of integrity that company, essentially, entity has. And it's not much. And I don't trust anything that they say anymore. I think that that's a shared opinion of the people that live over there that I think had nothing to do with it.
Have you been to a Waukegan City Council meeting?
I have not.
Maybe might consider that.
Yeah, so the welcoming that I got at the board meeting, they made it at the zoning board meeting, they made it pretty clear in so many words that if we didn't have a Waukegan address, our opinion didn't matter. And that's not a verbatim quote, but it's pretty darn close. So I would encourage you to watch the June 6th meeting where several of us showed up, including Beach Park residents, Wadsworth residents, residents from the township that are on the south side, over off of street over there.
North Shore.
Mine town line.
Town line.
Town line, on top, so people that were further down town line, that are township people, and everybody came to discuss that, and basically, what the zoning board members, and again, this is not the trustees, the aldermen, whatever they call them, but they basically said, these people are not part of Waukegan, this is a Waukegan project, and we shouldn't give any weight to what they're saying. That was presented, so.
Using a beach park street.
They don't consider it that. They think that they can do whatever they want.
Well,
And they tried to do whatever they want until this board and our staff wrote them a letter and explained that what they were trying to do, they couldn't. The park district stood in front of the zoning board and said that is what they were going to do. That's What they said.
My neighbor mentioned the same thing that you're
Well, that
mentioning.
was a Beach Park
not
Street,
private.
100%. Beach Park, Beach Road. You know, I had some, I could have some,
I know. That's-
I mean, it's all serious. If a car were to become disabled on that road, they would so.
All members.
But that being said, like I say, we can do that. I'm happy to discuss that with you guys anytime you want. If you want to do a safety
Yeah.
committee meeting, we can talk about all that. I'm happy to lay all that out there. But I just want you to know that we're at a point where we need Beach Park to make them do it. Because we've asked very nicely, many times for many years, dating back to 2015 was the first meeting I went to with the Park District. They've made it very clear that they're not going to help us. They're not going to help us.
Yeah.
They don't want to, we're not part of their city, and they don't care. And our road is our road. It extends the entirety of Beach Road, all 30 feet of it is Beach Park, as well as 20 foot south of the right of way, because that road is actually platted to be wider. I don't ever want it to be that way, but that is our,
Right.
that is our land right there, our municipal land. So.
Is
Okay,
there any
sorry.
real reason why they can't use their own property for ingress?
No,
and
it's
egress?
just a brief history lesson. When this park was first proposed and discussed, they had an ultimate plan to have a soccer stadium built on Green Bay Road. The soccer stadium was going to be the final development, and their plan at that point, according to multiple sources, elected and unelected, that they would at that time address the interior roadway, is what we would call it, from the sports park to the Green Bay Road. And that would be the resolution then. In the meantime, they agreed to put in intersection improvements on Beach Road, to pave Beach Road, in order to facilitate the near-term use of Beach Road for that purpose. And of course, all sounds well until you, like they say, all battle plans are great until you actually start fighting. And in this situation, the reality doesn't match the expectation, and the traffic. It is a public right of way, public meaning any and all. It is a village funded right of way, but that doesn't allow us to exclude anybody from use based on their address or their intent. We've already granted that access, but that was also with the expectation that this would not be a permanent solution. Of course, here we sit later in the game, and the only reason we had a bite at the apple, so to speak, was because they were wanting to continue improving the site. That gave us access to saying yes, no to what they wanted to propose, and allowed us to feed information back in to try to get what we wanted out of it as well. So for us to, shut down the street, we've been advised, don't do that. That's going to be a lawsuit in a heartbeat. To do anything to deny them access creates a taking, and that creates a lawsuit, et cetera. So we're continuing to work with them, but the pull the switch or turn off the lights kind of solution doesn't exist right now.
But at this point, I think it could be a public safety issue.
Well, certainly. I mean, we're
Definitely.
going after all of
The
those
only
things.
other part of that, that's really very
Yeah.
well stated, but there is no official documented agreement either. There's only done verbally, and I've both FOIA'd and asked,
Mhm.
not Beach Park, asked Beach Park, but I FOIA'd through Waukegan many places to try and get a copy of that, and the Waukegan Park District has stated that it doesn't exist.
Right.
So at this point, there is no binding agreement on paper that says that it's this amount for this, and this is what is being exchanged.
Which is also a double-edged sword, because we don't have anything saying that they would be terminating this use by a certain date or anything else.
Boy, so bad
It's,
we can't find something.
I know, we don't, we don't seem to have it. But anyway, please continue.
Yeah, that being said, so, I had two things I was gonna say. And maybe it'll come back to me. It was building on what you were saying.
Yeah.
A couple of other things that have happened since the last time I was here is, one, kudos to the sheriff's department. They've been really, really great coming out. I'm to the point where I know most of the sheriff's deputies by name. They come out, they just look at me and say, same stuff? I say, yep. And then they sit on the road, write a whole bunch more tickets, and continue on their way. One of them of note is my wife was coming home, traveling westbound on our street, with her turn signal on to turn into our driveway, and there was a sports park patron in a diesel F-250 that was tailgating her. He was unhappy that he had to slow down to get to the park, and so what he did is he revved the truck all the way up, proceeded to smoke out my wife and 3 kids in her car,
Nice.
including my 4-month-old baby.
Oh.
So, not good. I was irate,
Mm-hmm.
and I called the sheriff's deputies, and I explained to them what happened. We went back and we pulled the video of that, which I have on my phone. I'm happy to show any of you. And got the license plate off the vehicle, at which point they went down and confronted the person who admitted to doing it and wrote him a disorderly conduct ticket.
Good.
So I'm very happy to say that he was written a ticket, but I'm disgusted in the fact that we live in a neighborhood where my wife can't even drive my kids into my
Where you
driveway
had to
without
make
being
that call to
assaulted.
begin with.
It's assault.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. So if that's the kind of stuff that's going to continue to happen, then it is absolutely a public safety.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely. So I did talk to our representative at the sheriff's department. I believe his name is Sergeant Ziegwitz.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And he did say, and this was one of the meetings that had gotten canceled, but he said that he was going to come and share some of the statistics about what has gone on the street. He said that he could not offer his opinion, but he was happy to share the facts. And I said, that would be fantastic. So I'm hoping that he comes, visits us, and shares things like the number of tickets that have been issued, the number of man hours that they've spent on the street, the number of times they've responded, because I'm sure those numbers are astronomical in comparison to any other central residential road in Beach Park. So, the last thing I have is, I understand that there are discussions that are being had at a staff level about this problem, but you guys gotta understand that when we leave here, I go home, and most of the time, when I leave this meeting, I continue to watch cars be disrespectful on our street, treat our neighborhood in such a way that it's like a trash can essentially, until midnight. It's gonna happen tonight too, and every day. And the last weekend, we had situations where it was 20 to 30 minutes to get back to our house. The weekend before that, the Park District held a tournament where they had teams here from 10 states. There was several hundred teams that were attending. And we wake up, and I encourage you to know that we wake up and we live with it every day. It's like, Andrew said, we literally are to the point where we don't allow the kids in the front yards anymore. We have a standing agreement for our neighbors to allow the kids to walk through the backyards to try and keep them safe from the onslaught of what's going on the street. This is horrible. It's damaging. And we're to the point where we need this to be more than a staff discussion. We need action to be taken. I'm begging you guys to help us. And I don't know exactly what the answer is. I don't want to get into a point where you open yourself up to a lawsuit, but I mean, we're literally in a position now where with the fact that the Waukegan governing body voted down the proposal from the Park District to open that facility, there's obviously some tension or some disconnect between those two bodies.
You bet.
And they would need a very large push from the city of Waukegan to be able to come after and file a lawsuit in terms of what's going on here too. So, and again, with the fact that the Waukegan Park District was given approval from IDOT to use the entrance off Green Bay Road, there's no longer the ability for them to say that they no longer have access to their facility. That's not the case anymore. They have an approved access that's open now, ready to go. So
I have a question for the mayor. Does the city council of Waukegan have any authority over the Park District of Waukegan?
Nope. Separate taxing body.
That's a problem.
Yep. Well, they answer to their constituents just like we do. So the people that elect the Park District members are the constituents. They're the bosses, so to speak. So it's the same pool of people for the most part, but the city council has, other than zoning authority, has really nothing to say.
And I understand that there's risk involved with action. I get it. But we're living with the risk every day.
Sure.
Every day.
Yep.
Some days I don't even get out of bed and I gotta go outside and chase people out of my yard. It's crazy. It's crazy. So again, I don't want to be the person that's here every week talking about the same thing, every other week talking about the same thing, but our fate lies in your hands. If we can't get you to help us, then we're destined for a lifetime of punishment over there.
Right.
And that's where we're at.
The only peace you get is in the dead of winter.
Or the day when we had 3 days of poor air quality, they shut it down. It was the best 3 days of the summer.
That's sad.
It's a joke, but it was the best 3 days of summer. We could go outside and actually walk on the street despite the fact that we couldn't breathe. So.
All right. Thank you.
Appreciate the time as always.
Thank you, Alan.
My phone is always open. My phone number is always open. You guys are welcome to ask me any questions. If we could, if it's possible, I would love to add this as an agenda item to the meetings each week. If it's a safety item, so that we can have it on the agenda so we don't miss meetings where we can talk about these updates. 'Cause I don't want to go month to month before we can get some.
Right.
So,
Well, and likewise, what I would say to you and your neighbors is any and all new information. And there was several items brought to light tonight. Any and all new information would be beneficial to have that in the hands of our staff as quickly as possible. And I know you've been real good at it, but because there may be an actionable item, and waiting until the next board meeting may delay that, because if it's not on the agenda as a specific item of decision, even if it's a discussion about, we can take no action on that discussion until it's on there as an ordinance or a resolution or something. So any new information that comes to light that builds the data that we already have, then we'll certainly take that at any time. And you know how to find me, so.
I do. So I have one thing I want to leave you with. I have another neighbor, some of you guys might know him. His name is Brian Bell. He lives on Bayonne, and he's getting up there. He's got a few rings on the tree. But he wanted to come to the meeting. This is a letter that he wrote. And this was actually supposed to be an April meeting. So there's a few things in here that references to the golf park and things. But I want to read this to you because this is a person that's lived in Beach Park for more than 30 years. That's lived across the street from him. So I'm going to read this and then I'll step back. It says, to the Village of Beach Park from Brian Bell, 38585 North Bayonne Avenue, Beach Park, Illinois. I'm in very poor health and I have not been able to attend Beach Park's Village Board meetings, so I'm writing this with the hope that it will be read and considered at your next meeting. Back in 1992, my wife and I were looking to build a new home, and we found this lot on Bayonne Avenue. It was perfect because it was quiet and rural. About 100 feet or so from Orchard Hills Golf Course, a wonderful golf course that had a clubhouse with great food and the best fish fry around. We went there often. We got to know the staff. It was very nice. It was peaceful living on Bayonne. Then one night, we went for dinner at Orchard Hills, and they told me that Wayne Motley wanted to close Orchard Hills and build soccer fields, as Orchard Hills was losing money. That was hard to believe, since all the staff we talked to told us that Orchard Hills was the most profitable of all the Waukegan Park District facilities. So we went to the Park District's meetings regarding this. I stood up. I told Mr. Motley what I knew, and he argued with me, saying that he had proof. As we left one of the meetings, a reporter from the News Sun stopped us and said he was aware that Orchard Hills was profitable as well, saying that there was some creative accounting going on. No. Then we went to some of Beach Park's meetings regarding the soccer fields, and I understand that it was clear that the entrance and parking would remain on Green Bay Road. As it turned out, for some reason, the entrance and parking ended up on Beach in Bayonne. Soon, our nice, peaceful rural home was in the middle of a huge crowd noise, loads of traffic, many cars with loud mufflers racing up and down our streets, stereos so loud we got out of the windows. Many cars would park on the street in front of our house. There's drinking, loud stereos, and I have even seen people having sex in their cars. The sheriffs would show up once in a while, but not enough to prevent the behavior. A few months later, I saw a pickup truck pull into my driveway in the dark of night, all the way up to our house, which is over 100 feet from the street. I heard a thump. He backed out very quickly and took off. Within 20 seconds, there were about 6 or more sheriff's squad cars in front of my house, and they were walking around my yard with flashlights, searching in bushes everywhere. Seems like there was a gang shooting at the sports bar, and the thump I heard was this guy throwing his gun out somewhere in our yard. After about an hour, they could not find the gun and they left. The next day, I spotted it on a roof and called the sheriffs. Since then, things have only gotten worse. Our once nice and peaceful home on Bayonne is no longer so nice and peaceful. Even our neighbors across the street and up the hill in Wadsworth are fed up with this. The golf course expansion gets approved, or if the Park District continues to use Beach and Bayonne as the primary access to the sports park, we're going to have no choice but to sell our home of 30 years and move to a nicer area. We need Beach Park to do more to help us. We need to get our quiet, peaceful neighborhood back as soon as possible.
Very good.
That's somebody who's been here since.
Yep. Would you share a copy of that with Mark?
I'll send it to you.
Yeah.
I'll email it to you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Thank you, Alan.
Thank you, Alan.
One can only wonder, after sitting and pondering this as we have over the years, if the Park District had a road, as they promised they would put in, inside their property, would they tolerate speeding, revving of engines, garbage, people abusing their facilities, parking, driving off the road, doing whatever, doing donuts in their property? Would they tolerate all of that, and with a happy smile saying, "Oh, we're good neighbors"?
You just reminded me of the thing I forgot.
Hmm.
That's the meeting that they had, I'm sorry, I don't mean to repeat. The meeting that they had with then Executive Director Greg Petrie. Greg Petrie stood in front of the neighbors and promised that that entrance was temporary.
Yep.
I've heard that from several neighbors, and I actually had a conversation with our Lake County Representative, Hewitt. She was also in attendance at that meeting, and she confirmed for me firsthand that Greg Petrie promised this was going to be a temporary entrance.
Yep.
So.
No, that's correct. That's when I was referring to elected and unelected, anecdotally, these people have all confirmed what we all roundly believed.
Right.
But, you know, there you
They
are.
have a first-hand account from
Yep.
the County Board member.
Yep.
So,
Thank you.
That's
Thank you,
right.
Alan.
Sure, help us.
Mayor Hucker, members of the board, staff, let me thank you for the fine job that's being done in the village. I still retain the right to complain. I'm gonna share with you what my doctor tells me every time I go in. Ask me on the back and says, "You're a good-looking individual." And then I get about a step away, he said, "For a man your age." Be warned. Terrible, right?
The truth hurts.
I'm here tonight, I figured the mayor hasn't changed this thing on prevailing wage. I haven't, some things you never forget. I haven't changed my thinking about how important code enforcement is for the survival of the village to stay, be independent. I don't like the people want to say, you know, you look at Zion's problems, you've been walking into problems. Those problems develop from years. I think Zion's making a true effort to try to resolve it, but it takes a lot longer to straighten it out than it does to get it in that shape. So I would like the board to take a real strong look at having one of the strongest code enforcement in the community, in the county, because it will pay dividends if we work in it. I know it's an endless, thankless job. Been there, done that. But it seems to be the same people all the time that are in violation of the code. So I'm going to suggest the board that you throw away the warning book and you get out the ticket. Bring this thing, because they know that after 10%, that is going to go more than me. That's just my feeling. I look at code enforcement in my community, my neighborhood, is when your property starts to make my property look bad, we have a problem. My wife has turned me into a gardener. I don't know how that happened, but you know, I want to personally thank Mark for the work that he has done in our neighborhood, that area over there. I've been there 37 years. Believe me, it's never been better and never looked better. And you can plow our street and not have to dodge cars. It's amazing what the effort this man has put into it, time. I want to thank him personally for it. I know I got him on speed dial, that's bad. But it's just something that I've always felt that we can always do better at, and we will be rewarded as a village in the end. Because it's sad when you go to some of these conferences.
Yep.
Not going to take a lot of your time. I know we're working on 3 on there that commercial vehicles with the letter and everything. We'll get 2 of those. 1 trailer that we're working on. But other than that, I mean, it's true. The commitment that you guys have made has been great. The returns, and I do appreciate it. And you know, I'm not going to give up the right to complain.
Nope. Yeah, you've earned it.
You're gonna have a couple rough weeks coming up in the near future, but the end of it, you'll have a brand new road.
Yeah.
It's gonna be, your area.
That'll be the second one, 37 years.
Yeah. It's definitely time, but it's.
You mean that last new road is worn out? All right.
Ask my wife, I'm the one that wore it out.
There you go. All right. We have anyone else? Ron, good to see you. And Mrs. Ron, I'm sorry, I don't even know your name. I should know your name. We have no cause tonight for an executive session. Did the
Mayor.
birthday boy have something?
It's my honor to offer a motion to adjourn.
We have that said
Second.
motion and a second by trustee Siddick. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned.
I thought he was gonna make a motion that we sang one more time.
Yeah, we should sing one more time.
Saying you're welcome.